No, wrong one. Try again. Pokémon Legends ZA has completely revitalized the fandom's love for Mega Evolution. Nothing is more exciting than seeing one of your favorites limit break by doing body horror. Sorry, Glalie. The game released with a bunch of new designs for us to dive into, and with the DLC, Mega Dimension, we've been given even more to... Sorry, is that sushi sitting next to the horrors? But these crazy designs don't just come from anywhere. At least not all of them. Most, if not every Mega Evolution comes from the real world in one way or another. And I'm hoping to give you the rundown on not only what each of these Pokemon is based on, but how Mega Evolution helped elevate their concepts. Before we take the plunge though, the uninitiated are whispering sweet naiveties into my ear asking what Mega Evolution even is. Luckily for them, I have content to repurpose, so sit tight and listen to the handsome man for a sec, KK! To TLDR the lore of Mega Evolution, Professor Sycamore in Pokémon X and Y suggests that Mega Evolution originates from stones imbued with the light of Xerneas or Yveltal, but that's just one theory, as the Draconid people of Hoenn who worship Rayquaza believe it comes from them and meteorites. People can work with Pokémon to reach this stage by using a keystone, held by the trainer, and a Megastone formed for that specific species, the only exception so far being Rayquaza, who ate a bad fruit gummy in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Together, the stones unleash a massive amount of energy that could power a rocket, so needless to say, putting all that on one little guy is ethically dubious. So did Mega Dimension add anything else to what we know about Mega Evolution? No, it didn't. And we sure didn't learn anything canon about Z Mega Evolution despite it being... Could you call it a key selling point? There's only like 1, 2, or 3 of them. Either way, I've seen 1,000,001 theories on what could be the reasoning, especially with something like Xander Z, but unfortunately, I'll have to leave that there for now. I'll stop that, sorry. So, without further ado, here are what the Mega Evolutions from the Mega Dimension DLC are potentially based on. We're starting off with the baby, the munchkin, the rat. Raichu's tummy and long ears, feet and tail most resemble a Jerboa, and as an early root Kanto Pokemon, that's kind of where the concept ends. A simple, adorable orange, electric rat. So what happens when they get some new jewelry? Starting with Mega Raichu X, overwhelming amounts of energy has given this spunky fighter the ability to float using electromagnetism. While our rodents can't exactly fly on the wings of life, they can sense electromagnetism, also known as magnetoreception. While this is undoubtedly one of the reasons we have so many electric rodents, Mega Raichu X seems to just take this concept and, well, fly with it. Mega Raichu Y, on the other hand, grows some horn-like tufts that give it a more Jackalope-like build, probably to compensate for their suspiciously Pikachu-shaped regression. But there's a lot of references to zigzagging in their design and descriptions, which could just be marketing, or alluding to a concept. See, lightning bolts zigzag to find the route to ground with the least amount of resistance in the air. I'd love to do a whole physics lesson right now, but I've got Crabominable to get to at some point. So what I'm saying is maybe the two Megas represent different circuit types, X being a more technical and distributed parallel circuit, Y being a more straightforward and powerful series one. From a bestiary perspective though, there might be some vague ties in both designs to the chimeric kotobuki in Japanese mythology, which fused different woodland creatures together from the zodiac, which included a rat and a rabbit, and they're auspicious creatures thought to bring prosperity and good luck. I think Chimecho gave everyone a bit of a shock when their Mega was revealed. That little ring-ding-dong put some of those base game ones to shame, hey? For those who don't know, Chimecho is a wind chime, specifically a Hurian. They were once expensive trinkets that warded evil away for many feudal lords. Nowadays, they're pretty wind singers that anyone can grab from a Daiso or something. Mega Chimecho has not only this lavish Chingling headpiece, but stronger ties with spirituality. Chimecho are usually known for their 7 soothing tones that can cleanse souls, a practice seen in a few different religions like Shintoism and Buddhism. In the latter, there are staffs called kakara that certainly look a lot like Mega Chimecho. Just like Furin, they're used to ward off evil spirits, and the number of hoops on a kakara usually corresponds to something like the 4 Noble Truths, 6 Perfections, or the 12-fold chain of cause and effect. In Chimecho's case, the 7 smaller chimes probably represent good luck. So if you know me, yeah, Absol's one of my favourites. This fluffy white dog and Mega Absol have been there for me for years, and lo and behold, that Mega's evolution. What? Absol is based on the Bai Z, a horned, white-furred beast known for being a little bit of a know-it-all in terms of supernatural knowledge and a harbinger of plagues in Japan, where it's known as the Hakutaku. And with Mega Absol, their most important characteristic, in my opinion, is that they don't lose this theme of all-knowingness and mercy, as they're described as merciful slaughterers to prevent unneeded suffering. In contrast to the Assyrian roots Mega Absol usually has as the Lamassu, this might mean Mega Evolution for Absol is always meant to be more angelic and benevolent, with Mega Absol representing a guiding angel, and Mega Absol Z representing a psychopomp, a spirit meant to guide people towards death. The first that came to mind was Gangnim, a Korean Saja or Grim Reaper figure who carried the names of those who were meant to die on a red cloth. This reminded me of Absol's twisted red wing. This could also be a reference to Abzethibu, an angel who followed Beelzebub after he fell from heaven. Due to his rebellion, he was left with one red wing with the other torn off. I could be here all day because they're the gift that just keeps on giving, but again, Crabominable's waiting. Hey, bird. Staraptor is a starling mixed with a hawk. How am I so confident? The Japanese name is literally Starling Hawk. Mega Evolution not only gives Staraptor the fighting type, but the power to lift a Steelix, which is this many big. This is a very similar story to a beast featured in many Middle Eastern folktales. The most popular one you may know as 1001 Nights, featuring Sinbad the Sailor. This is the Roc, a giant bird known for their immense strength, potentially inspired by depictions of Garuda and their fight with the Naga. Our next Z Mega Evolution. Our next Z Mega Evolution. Fine, I'll talk about Garchomp. At the time of this video, officially we don't know about Mega Garchomp Z. But we do, so I'm doing the thing. Garchomp is a fun little land shark. We all know them. Traditionally, they have strong teeth and earth manipulation powers, and well, we really got that right out of the gate, didn't we? Yes, I'm reusing the shtick from the previous video. We've gone over this. I'm recycling. Mega Garchomp Z is like the embodiment of Garchomp's criticisms over the years. They got rid of the ground type to free it from the coldness and gave it a crazy good speed stat that it's always lied about. Arguably, getting rid of one type makes it seem more like the warplanes it might be inspired by too, which makes for a nice contrast with the original Mega's more kaiju-like design. Now the final Z Mega Evolution is Lucario. Lucario, and especially their spiritual aura powers, have deep ties with martial arts and the concept of manipulating your energy, chi. This is the concept that the original Mega Lucario pushes to its limit. To most people, Lucario's always looked like Anubis, and while there were never more accurate reasons other than, wow, that dog stands up, Game Freak seemed to really want to tie those Egyptian influences in more with Mega Lucario Z. See, Anubis is an Egyptian god who guides and judges souls, and that tail is suspiciously fish-shaped for a reason. That's Anubis' staff, the Was. The Was is a symbol of power shared between the dominant figures of Egypt, like Set, pharaohs, and of course, Death Dog. Mega Lucario Z's greatest strength is in its energy channeling, which in Egyptian mythology could be analogous to Sekhem, the ancient art of energy-based healing which balances a person's physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional states. Storytime. Ever since I made one of my first lore videos about Heatran, you know those videos where I infodump a lot about storytelling, my partner always points out Heatran cards specifically to me every time we go to a con or a card show because I was really normal about it. This felt targeted. In that video, I theorized that Heatran is potentially based on the Shinto god Kagutsuchi, the fire god killed by Izanami whose remains were spread across Japan, forming volcanoes. Because of Sinnoh's Greek parallels too, I looked at Hephaestus, the Greek god of smithing due to Heatran's steel type. Mega Evolution has been kind to this frog. They certainly look more intimidating. This furnace design exemplifies Heatran's powers by breaking their body apart, and kind of enforces those connections to both Kagutsuchi's molten body and Hephaestus' forge. Darkrai has always been one of the most mystifying mythical Pokémon. As the embodiment of dreams and nightmares in the Pokémon universe, they are most similar to night hags like the Nocnitsa, Pisadeira, or the Dukak. In Greek mythology, there's also the Onoroi, beings from the darkness that manipulate dreams. Their ties to the moon more specifically, as Cresselia's counterpart, could mean they're representing Tsukuyomi too, a morally ambiguous figure who ruled the sky alongside Amaterasu and the sun. This might not be where the Japanese gods stop with Darkrai though. Mega Darkrai's all-encompassing darkness could be influenced by Amatsu Mikaboshi, the star god who was definitely a bad guy, in comparison. Not much is known about him, but he was called upon by the Japanese gods in order to help in conquest, which, yeah, that checks out. Mega Darkrai's design also harkens to the Beholder from Dungeons & Dragons, a real-life nightmare dreamt up by one of the game's designers. James Turner, if you're out there, thank you for your service. Next cuppa's on me. Golurk is undoubtedly based on traditionally Jewish golems, and that core in its design harkens to the Golem of Prague, a story where one golem was built from clay to protect people from prejudice. To turn it on, its creator inscribed the word Emet, or truth, into its forehead, and to turn it off, he removed the first letter to leave Met, meaning dead. In some versions of the story, its creator forgot to turn it off, leaving it to rampage in the settlement it protected. This may be why Golurk's Mega Evolution explodes in energy. Somebody hasn't napped yet and is getting angry. The overwhelming energy may also allude to how it's very common for mecha or giant robots to get a little self-destructive when they have unstable power. You know this cat? This cat means the world to me.
Come on, show it to me, show it to me, Shaggy.
No notes. Meowstic is a very simple Nekomata design, a cat yokai with split tails and supernatural abilities. That sure is this. Mega Meowstic does a lot to elevate not only the design, but the concept. Starting with that look, their split body heavily resembles the fusion of Hindu god Shiva and his partner, Parvati. This form is Ardhanarishvara. Their split male and female body down the middle was supposedly Parvati's way to not only prove her love to Shiva, but prevent him from cheating. Don't do that! This is actually something that can very rarely happen in cats, called mosaicism or gynoandromorphism, where DNA structures can be split in a way that leads to two different phenotype features on the body. That just means things that you can see. As for their increased power, there's this thing called rebis in alchemy, a symbol of the great work or magnum opus, which has undergone the 4 phases of alchemy to form a being that's been split, yet is whole. This might be why Mega Meowstic's psychic powers have the ability to both make things small and big. They're now able to manipulate matter itself, just like alchemy. Okay, look, we got to the crab. Crabominable is exactly that. A Yeti crab. And a boxer. Mega Crabominable is bigger. Joking aside, they might actually be inspired by depictions of Karkanos, a giant crab called upon by the goddess Hera to help the Hydra in its battle against Heracles. Or Hercules, we all know that one better. After being killed in battle, Hera thanked it by sending it to the stars, becoming the Cancer constellation. Some more vicious crabs are the Heikegani. Crabs with human faces, kind of like the big man over here, said to be the face of dead warriors.
Oh.
Golisopod is an interesting case. While, yes, they're an isopod, they're covered in samurai armor and focus heavily on tactical retreat and heavy entry. There was a warrior clan well known for this kind of military tactic, the Shimazu clan, in the Battle of Kizaki. In this battle, the Shimazu were greatly outnumbered, but were able to really tortoise and hare the whole thing, using defense to gain an upper hand, winning them the battle. This more defensive angle might be what influenced Mega Golisopod's more tank-like appearance, and their steel typing. They also have hidden limbs beneath their armor to offer a tactical trump card and symbolize this strength in solid defense. And if that isn't a solid defense, I don't know what is. Magearna is, honestly, one of the most underutilized and most intriguing mythical Pokemon to me. For starters, Magearna isn't the body, it's the soul heart right there. This artificial heart is supposedly made from life energy and was invented to look after a young princess 500 years ago. There are a few automatons like Talos from mythology. However, Magearna's more contemporary approach in robotics looks similar to the Karakuri puppet, specifically the tea-serving Zashiki Karakuri. Mega Magearna unlocks a hidden setting in the Soul Heart, allowing Magearna to become a much more violent and ruthless Pokemon. I couldn't find any mythical or folklore depictions of this kind of switch up, so I'm choosing to compare Mega Magearna with Battle Angel Alita. This switch up from a kind-hearted, empathetic robot to Flowertron 6000 just murking a guy, that's crazy. Similar media that follows violent robots are of course Terminator, Daleks, there's a whole TV tropes page, I'm not doing all that. So be honest, how much did you pay them? Zeraora is the thunderclapping tiger man that just keeps winning. What contest? Who knows. They could conceptually be based on Japanese Oni who are often depicted in tiger print Victoria's Secrets. Or potentially Raichu, a thunder god who often underwent a cat-like appearance when striking their thunder. Zeraora's thunderclapping could be taken from all sorts of electricity-themed gods, like Thor's hammer, Zeus's bolts, or Raijin's beating of the drum. Mega Zeraora. Bigger Zeraora. The most I can say really is I think this design does push it more towards Raichu, with charred black fur and stronger lightning rod horns. So go on, how much was it? Scovillain! I've got beef with Scovillain. So this pepper is in fact 2 peppers. In Japanese, they're compared to a habanero, but being a Paldean Pokemon there may be ties to Spanish peppers like the Padron, grown in Galicia. These peppers vary in spiciness pretty drastically. As a bit of a needless bully, and villain being in their name in most languages, it might be a take on villains from a spaghetti western, with most classics being filmed in Spain, and featuring more dapper antagonists with striking personalities. Something I personally don't think the pepper has going for it, but sure. Mega Scovillain might make that a bit more realistic though, sporting a finer suit, more striking adornments, and overall intensifying the capsaicin totin heat. I need to stop with the voices. So Geeta clearly knew before all of us that Glimmora was going to get a Mega, because what was that? Glimmora is a flower-shaped geode. Their shape may come from the deadly nightshade, datura, and I suppose more accurately, rock flower anemones. These are all toxic, which, yeah, explains that alright. Mega Glimmora makes some of their connections more obvious though, as they not only release their petals, but have debris following them all the time. This is just like how sea sponges or anemones spread their toxins. They also get narrower and more needle-like, another way that anemones poison seal life. What is there to say about Tatsugiri that isn't painstakingly obvious? They're sushi, and they have a real mastermind and muscle style of relationship with Dondozo. The sushi-serving platter of a catfish acting as their commander from inside their mouths. They're probably also lungfish or dragonfish. Real pretty things over here today, huh? If I didn't want to be facetious for a second, something I love doing oh so much, Tatsugiri may also take inspiration from Ebisu, god of fishing or good luck. Mega Tatsugiri is the only Mega Evolution that directly references the Mega Evolution symbol, and that's the good China, so you better be careful with it. This might have more to do with Ebisu again, as he's often depicted with 2 of his fellow gods of luck, Daikokuten and Fukurokuju. Together, alongside 4 other great gods of fortune, they're usually in a ship during New Year's. This greenish energy between the clones and main Tatsugiri is also referencing Baran, a green garnish meant to keep different portions separated. The way that Tatsugiri can solidify Mega Energy into these roballs may also be inspired by how lungfish can solidify the mucus they create. So is this, like, fun for you, or...? Finally, we've reached the end of our roster, with Baxcalibur, the pseudo-legendary Pokemon of Paldea, and Bald Bonds. Baxcalibur could be one of many different sail-backed dinos or dino-related creatures like the Spinosaurus, Dimetrodon, or Stegosauria, perhaps being most similar to the Quilled Concavinator, all while being a bit more human costume-like, with that trademarked kaiju build. Mega Evolution has not only given Baxcalibur a new weapon, transforming their glaive head to a full-on short sword or gladius if we're being punny about it, but also a reinforced ice mask and armor plating. This might better inform a reference to the Inuit or Yukon myth of the Parayuk, a species of many-legged crocodiles that would prey on settlers, dragging their bodies into ice-cold waters. The last of this species was supposedly slain by a hunter, which may explain why Baxcalibur has that going on. Sorry, buddy. And that's it! As of the time of recording this video, I have covered every single Mega Evolution, from Mega Aerodactyl to Mega Zygarde. Mega doesn't feel like a word anymore. So what does that mean for me? The little writer man with his little pen and notebook? Only time will tell. Mega Evolution, if it wasn't completely obvious, is my favourite battle gimmick, even if it is arguably the worst thanks to power creep. Myself and many other creatives in the community have done our fair share of theorising what potential megas could be, exploring how concepts can be pushed or made more obvious. After all that, who is your favourite Mega Evolution? For me, obviously Mega Meowstic's up there, but Mega Gallade and Mega Absol will always have those top spots in my heart. Thank you so much for watching. Show your support by liking the video you've just watched or on Ko-fi, where you can not only donate, where all proceeds go towards the channel, but download my book of Pokemon-inspired legends, Tales Once Lost, for completely free. As always, I'm just a guy with an internet connection, so I always recommend doing your own research to find out something I haven't. Follow my socials, subscribe to see what I get up to, and maybe, just maybe, we can see each other again.